Jai Shri Radhe, Har Har Mahadev. In all the authentic history books, it is stated that Akbar was hated by all around him and that they regarded his death as a good riddance is reflected even in the manner of his burial. Vincent Smith says, quote, "The obsequies of the dead lion were hurried and perfunctory. A gap was made in the fort according to custom, and the body interred in the sepulchre at Sikandra." Unquote. Had Akbar been loved and respected, he would not have had a hurried and perfunctory burial. But besides that, we have another very important point in this connection. It is our contention that posterity has been misled and hoodwinked even regarding the place of Akbar's death. The traditional account that Akbar died in the Red Fort in Agra is not correct. Had he died there, his burial 6 miles away at Sikandra would never be termed hurried and perfunctory. In such a case, there is an obvious void in the statement that his body was taken out of a gap in the fort and interred 6 miles away. The very authorities quoted by Vincent Smith earlier are all later European writers. That shows that the belief that Akbar died in the Red Fort, Agra, is mere rumor and myth, not based on even one contemporary authentic source. In fact, the tiny detail that Akbar's body was not brought out of any gate but was clandestinely removed through a hole in the wall bears out Smith's observation that Akbar's burial was hurried and perfunctory. We add from Smith's observation that Akbar's burial was also secret. Such secrecy, hurry, and perfunctoriness is possible only if Akbar is buried in the very mansion in which he lay ill. Our conclusion, therefore, that Akbar died in the very 6-storied Hindu usurped palace at Sikandra, where he lies buried, is thus based on a sound logic. The fact that his burial was hurried and perfunctory makes it clear that he was buried at the very spot where he lay dying. Since he is buried in Sikandra, it is our contention that he died in Sikandra. This conclusion is reinforced by the fact that Akbar lies buried in a 6-storied Hindu palace. He happened to die when he was camping there. Had he died in the Red Fort in Agra, there was no reason why his body should have been removed by breaking open a wall, instead of being carried out through the fort's main gate. The canard that Akbar's dead body was removed from the fort, unknown to the public, through a specially made secret opening in the wall was invented to hide the fact that he died in the very palace where he lies buried, and that there was no funeral procession, that Akbar's body was removed by breaking open a fort wall can be accepted only if it is proved that the corpses of his father Humayun and grandfather Babur were also removed by breaking open the walls of the mansions where they died. Since there is no such precedent, the claim that Akbar's body alone was taken out through a hole in the wall for no rhyme or reason is untenable. Even conceding that it was taken out through a hole, people were bound to throng round it if the body were to be carried to Sikandra 6 miles away. It would have then made a long and lengthy procession. In that case, the burial could not be called hurried and perfunctory. There is yet another deeper mystery. Akbar's fancied grave is empty. It does not contain his remains at all. Vincent Smith quotes the Venetian Manusi to say that, quote, in 1691 AD, during his campaign against the Marathas in the Deccan, Aurangzeb received a report that certain turbulent Jat villagers had desecrated the tomb of Akbar and scattered his ancestors' bones. They pillaged the mausoleum, breaking in the great bronze gates, tearing away the ornaments of gold, silver, and precious stones, and destroying wantonly what they could not carry off. Dragging out the bones of Akbar, they threw them angrily in the fire and burnt them. The pilgrim to Akbar's tomb visits, although he does not know it, an empty grave, unquote. Thus, even Akbar's ghost continues to mislead people. The hoax about Akbar's tomb has many ramifications, namely, number one, his fancied grave is empty and does not contain his remains. Number two, Jahangir, who hated Akbar and who wanted to kill Akbar by poison or in open combat, may himself have caused Akbar's remains to be burnt in the hurried and perfunctory obsequies. Number 3. Akbar's so-called tomb was obviously not built over his dead body because it is a 6-storied Hindu palace consisting of hundreds of rooms, a basement, and huge grounds enclosed by a battlemented wall. The massive wall has towering gates on all the 4 sides, as was common with Hindu buildings. Number 4. A mere tomb which is haunted by fakirs, mendicants, and other riffraff would never have embellishments of gold, silver, and gems. The wealth referred to forms part of the tradition of that building because before Muslim usurpation, that Hindu palace did contain all that wealth. Number 5. Covered all over on the walls of the palace are Hindu Shakti Chakra, means interlocked triangles, symbols, and wheel motifs. Number 6. Its name could not have been Sikandra had it been built as a mausoleum for Akbar. Its name Sikandra derives from Sikandar Lodi, who lived there 3 generations before Akbar. It was he who named the usurped Hindu palace after himself. That name still sticks even after Akbar's burial there. Number 7. To cover up the fact that the Sikandara palace existed before Akbar died and that no mausoleum was built for him, a cock and bull story has been planted in history saying that during his own lifetime Akbar himself chose the Sikandara site for his burial and started building his own palatial tomb. The question then arises, if Akbar was so eager to build his own tomb, why did not he jump into his grave as soon as he dug it? What exposes this fraud even more convincingly is that this same cock and bull story of every Muslim digging his own grave and building his own mausoleum in anticipation of his death is repeated once too often. Thus, we are told that Hosang Shah built his own tomb in Mandavgarh, that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, who was murdered by his son within 5 years of his accession, had within that short duration constructed his own imposing mausoleum in Delhi. That Sher Shah was hardly on the throne for 5 years when he died of burns caused by exploding gunpowder. But even before that, he had already constructed his own grave at faraway Sahasram or Sasaram in Bihar. Humayun regained entry to Delhi in July 1555 AD after a 15-year exile and died within 6 months of his arrival. But within that short interval, we are solemnly told he had already designed his tomb. Lest somebody ask whether an uneducated Humayun was an architect, we are told that he must have learnt Persian architecture in the desert west of Sindh and Persia at a time when he wandered in tattered clothes without any shelter over his head or a morsel of food in his stomach. One wonders whether the Persians had set up any school of architecture in the desert for an uncouth wandering Humayun to study at. The canard that Akbar built his own mausoleum is therefore part of a set formula of Muslim chronicle writing trick. In a Government of India publication, the author, contradicting Emperor Jahangir, confidently tells us, please listen carefully, what the Indian government official is saying, that, quote, the construction of his own tomb by Akbar at Sikandra near Agra had been going on for 3 years when death overtook him. Jahangir did not like its design and changed it. He completed the tomb in 1613 in the 7th year of his reign, unquote. So the funny thing is, the same mausoleum constructed for 3 years, first by Akbar and then again by Jahangir also for 3 years, is one of those fishy ships which always betray fabrication. We are at a loss to know which chronicler's fertile brain invented that canard, since nowhere has Akbar said that he ever thought of building his own mausoleum. And yet, even that canard is not allowed to rest in peace. Up comes Jahangir with the claim that it was he who built his father's tomb. Now please listen what Jahangir claims. Jahangir claims, quote, on Tuesday, the 17th, I went on foot to see the resplendent sepulchre of my father. If I could, I would travel this distance upon my eyelashes or my head. My father, when he made a vow respecting my birth, had gone on foot from Fatehpur to Ajmer on a pilgrimage to the shrine of the great Khwaja Mayuddin Chishti, a space of 120 kos, and it would therefore be nothing very great if I were to go this short distance upon my head or eyes. When I had obtained the good fortune of visiting the tomb and had examined the building which was erected over it, I did not find it to my liking. My intention was that it should be so exquisite that the travelers of the world could not say they had seen one like it in any part of the inhabited earth. While the work was in progress, in consequences of the rebellious conduct of the unfortunate Khusru, I was obliged to march towards Lahore. The builders had built it according to their own taste and had altered the original designs at their discretion. The whole money had thus been expended, and the work had occupied 3 or 4 years. I ordered that clever architect, acting in concert with some intelligent persons, pull down the objectionable parts which I pointed out. By degrees, a very large and magnificent building was raised, with a nice garden around it, entered by a lofty gate consisting of minarets made of white stone. The total expenses of this large building was reported to me to amount to 50,000 tumans of Iraq and 45 lakhs of khanis of Turan, unquote. So, in order to accommodate the contradictory claims of Akbar and Jahangir, having built one and the same Sikandra mausoleum, another disarmingly naive canard is foisted on history. It says that Jahangir completed the mausoleum begun by his own father Akbar. It is conveniently forgotten that Jahangir does not say that he completed a half-built tomb. On closer examination of Jahangir's assertion, his claim too turns out to be bogus. His statement means Jahangir's statement that he had entrusted the work to architects who altered the design is patently false. Because in those days, when anybody's eyes could be gouged for even the slightest slip or disobedience, who dared trifle with any approved plan of Akbar's mausoleum. Even if there were any daredevil architect idiotic enough to flout a cruel Jahangir's chosen building design, what interest would he have in substituting that design with one of his own fancy? After all, the architect could not be another son of Akbar who could be adamant about having his own design in place of the Jahangir's approved design for his father's tomb. If at all somebody did obstinately construct a mausoleum which angered Jahangir, what punishment did he mete out to the erring man? Since Jahangir was known to skin alive people for the slightest slip or defiance, since he does not mention having punished the erring workman, Jahangir's claim is a hoax and a fraud. Another fishy detail is Jahangir's reference to certain objectionable parts, which he ordered to be pulled down. This lets out the cat of the bag completely. The objectionable motifs he refers to were obviously those of a Hindu palace. In spite of his having chiseled away some Hindu images and motifs, Akbar's second-hand mausoleum is still replete with Hindu wheel symbols and interlocked triangles, means Shakti chakras. No reference is made to the man who altered the design or to one who set it right. Jahangir's vague reference to building being completed in 3 or 4 years and his quoting the cost not in Bharatiya currency but in 2 foreign currencies all exposes the falsity of his claim. The figure of expenditure is a concoction. Sir H.M. Eliot, in his commentary on Jahangir's Chronicle, has pointed out from page to page how it is a tissue of lies from beginning to end. He has also cautioned the reader against Jahangir's unctuous and sanctimonious references, feigning the deepest reverence for his father. But Jahangir's hatred for his father Akbar was so intense that he had made attempts to murder Akbar. So the hoax of Akbar's greatness stretches up to his very grave, exactly like Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi. He lies or once lay in a second-hand usurped Hindu palace and not in any specially built mausoleum. The ruins of the ancient Hindu township of which the palace formed the focal point may still be seen around. My object in making this video about Akbar's degraded life in all such detail is to rebut the major falsification. My aim is to present truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about Akbar's character, life, reign, death, and burial. I am afraid I may not have been able to extract and present the whole horrid truth from under the piles of flattery heaped by fawning chroniclers. But So far as possible, I have tried to piece together and expose the falsity of all the Mughal demonic rulers' usual image and bring out a logical account of their diabolical role from their cradle to their grave. How far I have succeeded, it is for the viewers to judge. Hare Krishna, Har Har Mahadev.